How many of you were in youth group as a teenager? Most everybody? Mike, it's okay because I don't think it was
They didn't have you.
But how many of you can remember a single youth event that just rose above the rest? Like there's an event that just sticks out to you that you can tell all the you can just go back to that place, that time. I want to hear about them. So Gerald, were you in an army camp?
No, it was that's not church related. When I was, I think 14, we had something called Winterfuge, which back at the time I don't know if that's still around now.
Winter.
Yeah.
You sure it's not Winterfest?
No, I think it was called Winterfuge. Like the logo on the shirt we were given was the Winterfresh symbol, except it said Winterfuge. And what it was is that because I lived in Charleston at the time, we came up here to the mountains and everything, and did like a 2-day like retreat and everything, and it was just very memorable.
Seasalt. Seasalt. Remember that? I've heard a lot about Seasalt. Yeah, that's a great camp.
I go for like a week, man. It was really awesome.
It was on the beach. Yeah. Where is that? Where is Seasalt? Is it in South Carolina? Virginia Beach.
Aaron and Jacqueline went to it.
Yeah, they loved it.
It was, I mean, it was incredible. We had stuff like every night, like there's always something going on, and that's just the time I felt like ridiculously close to God. I'd just be walking around doing my own thing and just like stop and just, start reading the Bible. It was awesome. It was really cool.
What about you?
It's a tie between Disciple Now weekend or our summer retreat to Laguna Beach. Disciple Now was just good because, I mean, it was just, we always had really, nice bands come in and stuff like that. But the summer retreat weekend though, I feel like that's a lot better just because, you got away, you got all technology, put away. And then basically it was just a time where it was relaxed, like there wasn't scheduled planning, like you had, everything, every single minute was scheduled, but it was scheduled enough to where you didn't, go crazy, and, and it was, Christ-centered and focused. It was just
Very good. Anybody else with just a good
Battle of the Youth Groups.
Yeah, that's a really good. I miss Battle. Hopefully we bring it back.
Oh, we do.
I hope we can do it again.
The kids asked me last Sunday night before last if we were doing that. They're like, did we miss it this year? I'm like, no, we didn't miss it.
I hope that we can put together an association team to do it.
Well, Bat Cave's on board apparently.
It's just hard because Sean didn't originate with it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of you got to have a heart to do the event. But
Well, we didn't win, so we don't.
But Jason and Josh and myself, we love it. So we may do it as a PBA thing rather than one church trying to do it. Anybody else with a really good event that you just love? Yeah.
My church went to Winter Place up in Virginia one year for like a winter retreat, and we used to go every weekend for Martin Luther King weekend, and we had a long weekend, and it was really cool because they had a pre-program or whatever, and it was the afters, but it was before the after for like well known, and like I think the best part was just the bonding that we had, because it was my youth pastor's first actual trip with us, and we went to Winter Place and he'd never been skiing or snowboarding before, so like we got to teach him. It was really fun.
See, these things stick out to you. What do you think that those events are strategically planned? Like, do you think that your leaders then would sit down and truly pray over and process the whole weekend, or do you think that it was just a kind of a let's just have faith and let God do it? What do you think? Do you think that great events are always purposely planned? What do you think? the sea salt happen without planning. It's greatly planned, right? Battle of the Youth Group has to, there has to be a plan for an event like that. It's time for it to go through. A retreat, what do you think? Do you think that it was strategically planned, purposely planned? Yeah. Because there's probably elements in that weekend that are timed and scheduled, especially the worship times, the Bible study times. Of course, the skiing, that's pretty important, but I know D-Nals at Douglasville
Yeah.
are heavily planned.
Even the retreat, it's planned, but you have free times scheduled in there. Like it's purposefully scheduled.
Yeah.
Plan free time.
Yeah.
Planned free time, yeah. Your winterfuge, yeah.
Yeah, we,
That's a canned event, like it's something that somebody thought of to do for your students, right?
yeah, this was so many years ago now, like, I'm starting to actually have trouble remembering. I'm getting old.
It's okay, Gerald.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna give you a few in my life that I thought were pretty foundational. I was a 6th grader and I was pretty new to youth group. And this is a simple event, but we had a youth Sunday. And it was the first time my dad was a pastor, so it's the first time that he had ever got to experience a youth Sunday with the youth ministry. And it was a really well done youth Sunday. I remember doing a drama, we sang in the youth choir, a couple of songs, and then there was a message. It's so long ago that the song that we did our skit to was I Wish We All Could Be Ready by DC Talk, which is 90s, early 90s DC Talk. But I remember doing that. But afterwards we had lunch, and then we went on a prayer hike. And I don't know why that event sticks out to me so much, but it was just a simple day, but it was well done, well planned, well executed. We used to go to an event in Durham called The Main Event, and this church was Ebenezer Church in Durham. They used to host, they did seasons, kind of like, like you have a season of a certain episode. Well, they did seasons of this event, so they did 10 or 12 a year, but it was a big youth gathering, and everybody was welcome, but every event was different. So it always had the same format. You would have a time of fellowship and food, and then there would be a concert, or there would be a worship service, there would be a youth speaker, some type of special group come in. I've heard so many good speakers at this one church, but it was always fresh. And you know that it was intentionally well planned. I remember seeing my first ever neon puppet team at one of those events. And they made puppet ministry look neat, and it wasn't cheesy, it was really well done. I remember seeing that. And then I would say my favorite youth event has been Battle of the Youth Groups, and it's a tournament between churches. And we always begin with worship, and then throughout the day there's at least 7 rounds, the more teams you have, the better. But it's a 10-round round robin like tournament. And everybody's playing for that trophy. You've got that 10-year-old Battle of the Youth Groups trophy. And there's a belt, the wrestling belts that they use in pro wrestling. Christ-like, the most Christ-like team gets the belt. Do y'all have it now? Does Batcave have the Christ-like belt yet? And then P. Rich has the trophy, which is still, up for grabs if we can do the event again. But we rented out the middle school auditorium to have worship, and then there's a sports complex right across the way. Perfect place for a big youth event. But these events, they don't just happen, in the mind of a youth minister, and then it just comes to fruition. There's a process by which you plan. And and you've heard the phrase before, if you fail to plan, you plan to what? Fail. And it does happen often in youth ministry. I've done bunches and bunches of youth events, and some were not so well done, not planned out. Some looked like they weren't planned out, and then some have been just really, really good. Everything worked out as you would want it. But today we're going to talk about purposeful planning and planning events with purpose, because often you see youth ministries that don't have, remember that importance of having a purpose.